Greetings, YouTube. I have a radical idea. And that idea is if you make minimum wage in America, you should be able to pay for your housing, your health care, your food, and all of your educational needs for yourself and one other person, which would be an example of a single parent. Except in 2013, we are effectively paying people $3.50 less an hour than we did in 1968. Even though the gross domestic product for us has doubled in that time. Doubled. The economy is much larger today than it was in 1968. And yet we're paying minimum wage workers less money now than then. So, I want someone to explain that to me. Honestly. Because the only mechanism I can imagine that would make that happen would be intent. That someone intentionally decided that they were going to make sure that the laws, codes of America suppressed the earnings of minimum wage workers. And someone benefited from that. Someone benefited a lot. Now, I have spoken here in the past that I believe that we should have a wealth tax. That we should tax the wealth of Americans, which would be a major boon for the middle class and poor, because the middle class and poor have no wealth thanks to the 1%. That we need to take back the wealth of our nation from the people that have stolen it. And this minimum wage that I'm discussing here between 1968 and today is an example of how they did it. We created that wealth, and the 1% are parasites upon it. And we need to take that wealth back. It belongs to us. We created it. We earned it. We earned it by people giving their blood, sweat, and tears, their lives for this economy. And yet they're not reaping the benefits. More and more Americans are falling through the cracks. More and more Americans are never going to be middle class now. I heard a research piece the other day on NPR about the new normal will be a future where lower middle class will be as high as that many people will ever go. And that they'll be living a brittle existence where they're one or two paychecks away from collapse. And that is just what they're going to be at forever. Thanks to the way we have set the system up by funneling more and more of our wealth into the hands of fewer and fewer people, concentrating our nation's wealth and taking it away from the people that created it and giving it to people who are parasites upon it. Yes, I'm aware that this falls into the category in America of radical socialist talk. That I'm discussing the idea that we should be making sure that everyone has a minimum under which they do not fall. Housing, food, education, healthcare. That we need these things to make sure that every American has access to them forever, cradle to grave. But remember, folks, minimum wage workers are making less now than they did in 1968. And that's a crying shame. And it makes no sense at all